Hello, this is Dennis Bisher with Michigan Sugar. So we're still evaluating the effects of last week's freezing temperatures that we had for a couple nights. And what we're seeing is that in a lot of cases, those beets that had a thin hypocotyl and a damaged hypocotyl are starting to recover. That's not always the case. There are fields that, a lot of those beets are likely not going to make it. And why the difference that is, we're not exactly sure. Some fields are doing better than others at this point. But what we're seeing is that there's some beets that will not survive out in a population, or are likely not to survive. So for example, this beet is completely flopped over. If I was to dig it up, the hypocotyl would be very thread-like, likely to die. It's supposed to be windy for the next couple days. It can start moving around in the wind and it'll break off. So that one's not likely to make it. If you look here, we have some pretty healthy beets next to it. Those I don't really see any issues with. If I was to dig them up, the hypocotyl would be healthy. Then we have this group of beets that's kind of in between. So we have the damaged hypocotyl in a couple spots. It's thin. But what's encouraging with a plant like this is we're starting to get some hair roots that are developing. They look relatively white, so that's a good sign that we're getting some growth. The other thing that we're seeing is the cotyledons are greener now than they were earlier in the week. That's improving. We're also getting the two true leaves are starting to develop. So this plant is growing right now. That's a good sign. So in this field, as an example, it's again a really good population. It's well over 200 beets and 100 feet emerged. We are going to lose a percentage of those, and there's still some that are recovering as well. But in the end, this field is likely to have a good enough population, even with the lost beets, to still get high yielding crop. So we still continue to evaluate. I would say it's a little more encouraging today than it was earlier in the week. A lot of those 6 seedlings seem to be recovering. Some are not going to recover. We're going to lose